gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 235 of the podcast. And first things first, I would like to welcome in our first-time listeners and welcome back to our returning listeners to the podcast. And I would like to ask every single one of you guys, how are you guys doing? How was your 4th of July? I hope you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. My 4th of July and 4th of July weekend, it wasn't the best. It could have been better. We didn't do our initial thought process of going and having ourselves a nice time inside of a pool, barbecuing. We didn't get to do that. We had to take care of some issues, which did get handled and straightened out, thankfully. But yeah, our holiday was more taking care of business instead of relaxation, which, when you think of 4th of July, you think of fireworks, you think of barbecue, you think of a pool, you think of the beach, you think of all these type of things. We didn't get to do that. It was more business, which is very frustrating, but as I said, got handled. I hope people didn't have to deal with that. I know a lot of people didn't have to deal with that. However, certain people dealt with some very serious issues days before the 4th of July, and I'll get more into that when the time comes for it. So, let me just get on to the National Food Days of the Week for right now, because I really want to get into that other topic. So, let me get this out the way first and foremost. Today being July 6th, it is Fried Chicken Day. July 7th will be Macaroni Day, as well as Strawberry Sundae Day. July 8th will be Chocolate with Almonds Day. July 9th will be Sugar Cookie Day. July 10th will be Pina Colada Day, so please drink responsibly. July the 11th, Mojito Day. So please, once again, drink responsibly, as well as Blueberry Muffin Day. And then to round us out, July the 12th will be Pecan Pie Day. Now, let me get into what I mean earlier. When I said that people had to take care of things before 4th of July, and people probably had a worse time than myself, I'm talking about people that had to deal with family members that either passed away days before 4th of July or a day before 4th of July. And let me just read you off the condolences here, because we lost two actors in Hollywood. Julian McMahon, he passed away on July the 2nd. His wife Wood announced that he did pass away peacefully on July 2nd after he was dealing with a very private battle with cancer. If you don't know who Julian McMahon is, he was on Nip Tuck, he was on Charmed, he was on FBI's Most Wanted, and he was on my first knowledge of the Fantastic Four. I remember going to the Fantastic Four movie with my older brother, while my mom had to go take my younger brother to Shark Boy and Lava Girl because he really wanted to see that. And seeing that Fantastic Four, seeing this first iteration of Doom, I was like, okay, cool. Then my mother having to go on Hulu earlier this year, started watching Nip Tuck, and I saw him. I was like, oh yeah, that's Dr. Doom. But he had a big, illustrious career. It's just crazy that he passed away 2 days before 4th of July. But as I said, he wasn't the only one or the only actor that passed away before 4th of July. Literally on July the 3rd, Michael Madsen, who you probably know him for being in a lot of Quentin Tarantino films, who was in Reservoir Dogs, who was in Kill Bill 1 and 2, Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He died Thursday morning. He was 67. He happened to pass away because of a heart attack. They would call it a cardiac arrest, but we all know it as a heart attack. And you just got to think, man, how does one deal with that whenever something like that pops up as a family member? When someone that you love happens to pass away before, again, this big, illustrious, fun holiday that you're supposed to do, but now you got to think about that person that passed away the day before, or even days before. That's something hard to deal with. Also, not an actor, but a musician. Hollywood Reporter will report that young Noble, he was a member of Tupac Shakur's rap group, The Outlaws. He has passed away. He was 47. Fellow Outlaws member Edie Amin will confirm his death on Instagram and said he reportedly died by suicide. He would post, "Today I got some of the worst and unexpected news imaginable. My brother and partner for over 30 years took his life this morning." He posted on Instagram Friday, "Rest in power, Rufus Young Noble Cooper." He would add, "I obviously am in no shape to talk about this right now, so please give his family and I some time to process this. Mental illness is a real battle being fought by so many. Check on your folks." Now that is another unexpected call to get literally on the day of 4th of July, where you're supposed to be, once again, out there, just chilling, relaxing, eating barbecue and chilling out with the family. But to get that news, that turns your whole day upside down. And you can't celebrate nothing. You can't do nothing but just think about what you've lost. And just to add on top of that, I want to get off of this particular death. I have to talk about this one because this one hit real quickly, and the aftermath of this came out really quickly as well. A soccer star and his brother passed away Thursday, early morning Thursday. CNN will report this. Diego Hoda, him and his brother Andre Silva, they died in a car crash in Spain early Thursday morning, and they said this plunged the soccer world into mourning. They say Hoda just got married to his wife less than 2 weeks before the crash. So you now got a wife, and you now got 3 children that they share, having to mourn the loss of a husband and father on 4th of July. And then to add on to that, the people didn't wait. That family didn't wait at all. Apparently, they've already had like a funeral for both the brother and the husband. That's insane. There's already been photos coming out about it. My mother sent me a video of the wife looking like she's carrying the head of the casket of the husband while the pallbearers are doing their part holding up the side, but she's holding up the head of the coffin, and you can see her down distraught. And I mean, it's a bad sight. And you got to think all this is happening more than less on 4th of July. And I know 4th of July is an American thing, but I know certain people probably do take it overseas just so they can celebrate 4th of July, whatever the crap may have you. But that's all the big casualties that happen in the entertainment field. But you got to think about it. All of this happened days before 4th of July, and a funeral happened like a day on 4th of July or the day after. That's a lot, man. And again, 4th of July, I've said it before, that's supposed to be the time where people are supposed to be relaxing, people are supposed to be grilling, pool, beach, all that type of stuff. You had people that couldn't even enjoy themselves at all because of some out of control situations. People's healths took for the worst. People getting into car wrecks, people having battles within themselves, and they decided to end it all. I mean, these are the type of stories that make me say, you know what? Yeah, I might have had some personal issues that happened, but I didn't lose a family member this holiday. I didn't lose someone that I loved this holiday. Yeah, sure, the problems that we had, we were able to take care of it. Everyone's good. Everyone's able to move around. And I'm blessed. I could have been like these people that lost family members days before 4th of July, on the day of 4th of July, burying someone on the day of 4th of July or the day after. I mean, it just makes you, once again, look at the world glass half full. In which, again, that's a tie back to what I talked about just this Wednesday midweek breakdown. You gotta look at things on the positive side, because boy, this right here, these condolences that I just mentioned, and that's only from the entertainment circle, they lost people before this holiday, and that sucks. Losing people sucks, period. But to lose someone close to a holiday will now have that holiday be marked, because I don't care who you are. Whenever that holiday approaches, you're always going to think about the person that you lost. And I can attest to this only because my mother lost her mother close to a specific day. And I want to say it's like Mother's Day. My mom will correct me on this when she hears this. Trust me, she will. And every time it's coming close to that specific day, my mom will always make a notion to say, I lost my mom close to this day. And this day is now marked, or this holiday is marked because of that. And you always see it. I can see it. My brother see it. It's always there. So that's just me having a firsthand experience. Imagine these people that have people that worked in the entertainment field that was able to supply them with the abilities and the means to live better than the regular 9-to-5ers. And now they're not able to spend that holiday or any other holiday from here on out without them. And also now they got to look back at 4th of July every time when it comes around on the calendar. Always look at it as, oh snap, we're close to the day that we lost such and such. And that will always play into their head going over and over and over again. So ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't lose no one this past week leading up to 4th of July, just take that and breathe and sit with it. And just say, you know what? It could have been worse. Whatever crappy days or crappy week that you had, just know that it could have been worse. You could have lost someone really important to you, and that would have scarred you, and 4th of July would have really been just like the day that it'd be marked for you, that you can never look at it the same. So again, I give my condolences to the people in the entertainment field, and I hope that their families won't have to look at the 4th of July ever as a somber date. They decide to turn that into a day of celebration. That's what I'm hoping for, but time will tell with them on that entertainment side. Now, moving off of the entertainment side of the condolences, I do have to get into some of the news topics that still require some condolences here. ABC News will report this week that 18 people in a matter of seconds were shot in a deadly mass shooting. 4 people were killed and 14 others wounded in a deplorable and cowardly mass shooting in Chicago on Wednesday night around 11 p.m. People were exiting a venue in the River North neighborhood and standing on the sidewalk when a vehicle pulled up and someone in the car opened fire on the crowd, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling said at a news conference. They don't care who was struck, and in a matter of seconds, they were able to shoot 18 people, Snelling said. The venue was targeted, but it's not clear who specifically was the target, police said. The vehicle fled the scene immediately, and no one has been taken into custody, police said. The police will also say 2 different calibers of shell casings were recovered. The victims were identified as a 25-year-old, a 23-year-old, a 26-year-old, and a 27-year-old, according to the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. 14 others were wounded, including several who were hospitalized in critical condition, according to the police. The injured victims are all in their 20s and 30s, and 11 of the 14 people hurt are women. Okay. Again, Chicago has that reputation of being a place where you shouldn't be out at night like that. They might say, well, there's different places in Chicago that you can't do that. But when you talk to just people in general, and they just say Chicago, people, I'll say, would think violence. Okay? And I hope that they do catch whoever did this shooting. I hope that they find the people, hope they get them to the fullest extent of the law, because 4 people are dead and 14 are other just for no particular reason. None. As I said, they said this venue was targeted, but it's not clear who specifically was the target, but they didn't care. They shot 18 people. 4 dead, 14 others were wounded. That's not cool, bro. And again, this happens just 2 days before 4th of July. You're doing this on a holiday week towards the holiday weekend. That is the dumbest thing ever. I never will understand why people decide to do crimes like this, shootings, before the holidays. It makes no sense to me at all. So again, I hope that Chicago PD does get whoever did this, and again, get them to the fullest extent of the law. And I do, again, want to give my condolences to the family members and friends and associates of the people that did lose their lives over there in Chicago. Now, here's one that is still developing right now. Associated Press would put out that at least 32 people are dead in Texas floods as the search continues for people still missing. Rescuers scoured flooded riverbanks littered with mangled trees Saturday and turned over rocks in the search for more than 24 children from a girls' camp and many others missing after a wall of water busted down a river in the Texas Hill County. The storm killed at least 32 people, including 14 children. Some 36 hours after the floods, authorities have still not given a number of how many people in total are still missing beyond the 27 children from Camp Mystic, a Christian summer camp along the river. The destructive, fast-moving waters rose 26 feet in just 45 minutes before daybreak Friday, washing away homes and vehicles. The danger was not over as torrential rains continue pounding communities outside San Antonio on Saturday, and flash flooding warnings and watches remain in effect. So as they have right now, they said the bodies of 32 people have been recovered so far, 18 adults and 14 children. I'm pretty sure by this episode comes out, they'll probably have it more updated on that. So again, I do want to give my condolences to the families that lost not only adults, but also lost children. That has to be terrifying. It has to suck as a parent or sibling, knowing that your child and or sibling is over at a camp and something happened at that camp, weather-wise. And at this moment, you have no idea whether your loved one is safe or they have passed over to the other side. And that has to be nerve-wracking for, once again, everyone involved in that, but I say more specifically parents and siblings, because when you have a sibling that you love and you don't see them, and parents usually put their kids up in summer camps just so they can get a break and the kids can do something fun, yay. But when something like this disastrous happens, and it just, once again, it turns your life upside down and makes you start thinking differently, and now it makes you think about, I don't know if we should have done that. They're going to play the blame game. It's going to happen because those parents that lost children, that blame game is happening. And I don't want that to happen, but you know it's coming. You know it's coming because if one parent was more encouraging than the other one that wasn't so encouraging, boy, they're going to rain down heavy fire and brimstone onto the other spouse. It's just bound to happen. It's bound. But, because that's how anger works. Anger has to pop out, it has to seethe, because anger comes from sadness, it comes from over emotions. That's where anger truly lies. But again, especially in a grieving capacity like this. But I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping I am wrong, but time will tell. But again, condolences to family members and spouses that lost children and siblings that lost their siblings there, and you know the rest. I just it's a sad thing, and this is still a developing story, and again, more to come about this when they find all of the bodies from the people that are still missing. And I hope that the bodies that will be recovered next are not people that have passed away. It's just that people that are probably injured, they probably get taken to the hospital, people that are dealing with some type of cold because, you know, the water, the weather starts messing around with your body. That's what I'm hoping for next, instead of more dead bodies. That's what I'm hoping for. But again, we're living in the real world. Time will tell, and when more comes about, I'll probably bring it back on this podcast and talk to you guys about it. Now, finally, with those condolences out of the way, you know what I got to talk about. It is the biggest court case that happened this week. It finally ended. Sean Combs, he has been found not guilty of three of the biggest cases that it was technically against him. He's been found guilty of the lesser of the five. Diddy was not found guilty on racketeering and sex trafficking, but he was found guilty on 2 counts of transporting a sex worker across state lines. So at this time right now, Puff is more than likely facing 20 years max, because each of those 2 cases that he was found guilty of carries a maximum of 10 years for each of those. So altogether 20. Now, let me get to what I said Sunday, because Sunday was the time that everyone was starting to come around and say, oh, we're starting to hear that Puff's trial is wrapping up. And I said I'll come back on here with my honest opinion about this whole court thing. Now that it's wrapped up, here's my honest to God feeling about this court case. I think that the prosecution tried to throw a lot onto Sean Combs' case. I think if they just would have stuck with Sean Combs being an abuser and him just trying to travel people around for sex, I think they would have nailed the case. Because, I mean, you already got that technically, because they gave you 2. And those were the transporting sex workers across state lines. If they would have levied more of those onto that, then I think everything would have been fine. But once you start adding racketeering up, sex trafficking, RICO, that's where we get into some real murky waters. Because when you look at how this court case played out, at least from what was being publicized, I'm not saying if you really looked into the trenches and read every transcript like that. No. What was being publicized to the average person who didn't look at it every day but would just get like pop-ups on their feeds or something, it was always, he's a freaky guy, talks about freak-offs, talks about what they did at said freak-offs, what the sex workers look like. The big one to me was Cassie talking about her experience and all these things, but all about rounding it out was more specifically how freaky Sean Combs was. That's all this whole court case was really about. Trying to humiliate Sean Combs for being a guy who liked to have orgies or freak-offs, as he liked to call it. That's the only thing I really take away from the prosecution. Nothing in this thing that was being publicized to the people said anything about racketeering. That's a big thing, because my understanding of racketeering, right? Racketeering is whenever you conduct yourself in illegal activities, and whenever you think about racketeering, people usually like to think of narcotics, and they flip that and they turn it into a legal operation. Like they buy a laundromat, they buy a grocery store, they do all these type of things, racketeering and all that. None of that was really publicized in the Sean Combs case. Again, if it was, trust me, people would have been talking about, okay, Sean Combs had an enterprise of people doing drugs or people escorting drugs from this place to the next place, selling it out, distributing it, and Sean Combs using the money to pump into a new artist or pump into a new clothing business, a venture, all of that. But they didn't do that. That, again, was not the thing what was talked about. Again, the thing that was talked about majority was Homeboy being a freak and Homeboy abusing Cassie. That's the only thing that was technically on to Puff. And since we're not here for the abuse of Cassie, because that was not a charge that was put on him, but let's be real, people, I thought, were going to try to still find him guilty of basically everything because of that video that came out. The video that came out that we all saw of him going and running after Cassie in his bath towel, grabbing Cassie, throwing her to the ground, kicking her. That video, I thought, and I've said this in previous episodes when it really came out, I thought Puff was going. I thought when the whole court thing came about, when they got him, they arrested him, and they were going through his house, and that video aired to the public, I thought, yep, they got him. Because usually when they air something like that, that is a nasty video, and it plays onto the human emotions. And they want to make sure, again, this is just me giving my 2 cents on this, they want to play on the human emotion. To say, we're going to charge them with this, this, and this. These are things that do not pertain to who Sean Combs is or who the person is, but you remember the video that you saw, right? You remember that video. We're hoping that we get a conviction off of your emotions of him being a monster because of him putting a beat down on his former girlfriend at the time. And again, at first it got me because it played on the emotions. Because I don't think no one can see a video like that and think to themselves, we gotta give this guy the benefit of the doubt. Or we gotta give this girl the benefit of the doubt. No, we immediately say, oh no, that person's a monster. Yo, dog, what are you doing? We immediately go to this person, the monster, and if they get locked up or get arrested, we immediately say, yo, lock them up, throw away the key. Yo, that, because of what was put out there. And again, that video is all legit. It's not doctored. We saw what we saw because it legitimately happened. But when you, again, look at what he was charged with, racketeering, sex trafficking, again, the transporting of sex workers across state lines. The only thing that I say they, again, got him on was the transporting of sex workers across state lines. Now, people have been questioning, if you're able to find him guilty of that, but not find him guilty of sex trafficking, what's the difference? I can tell you right now, I have no idea, and I'm not going to try to divulge and try to go deep into that. That is above my pay grade. That situation right there, big time above my pay grade. I just think that whenever you think of Sean Combs now, you're going to think of him being the guy that, again, beat up Cassie, yes. You're going to think of him as guy being the guy that had the freak offs, recording the freak offs and all of that. And that's more going to be Sean Combs' legacy. Along with certain people going to be able to bypass that and say, yeah, he did all that, but also he did music. He did, through elaborate parties. He did all these different things. Because there will still be some people that will be able to separate what he was able to do in the entertainment world and also what he did publicly because of what we saw in the legal aspects. But my unfiltered opinion about this right here is I feel that they got Sean Combs because they wanted to grab those freak off tapes. There's something on those freak off tapes, more than less who he was probably doing those things with. Probably some big high name people, because Sean Combs was able to grab people, whether it be politicians, whether it be people in the fashion world, whether it be people in the entertainment world. Sean Combs was able to move around in a room, and you hear this from a lot of celebs. Straight up, you hear from a lot of celebs saying that Sean Combs is able to move around in a room and talk to this person, that person. Doesn't matter where you come from. He's able to talk to you and smooth you up. And think about it. He smooths you up, takes you to a party. You happen to like what's going on at said party. You might want to dip your toe into the waters on some things that, if it comes out to the light, might not look that good. Yo, we got to come and grab that. And again, they were already saying that the feds were already looking to Sean Combs before the quote unquote Cassie, I want to say civil lawsuit came out. But I think that just helped it, because Cassie was going to put a book out talking about her relationship with Puff. That's how this whole thing came out to the light. She was going to sue Puff, civil, because she wanted to put a book out and she wanted this much money from Puff. Puff said nah. And then that's how we got that situation come about. Okay, Puff ends up paying her money, whatever, shelving the book, don't ever say nothing, whatever. And then the feds come a knocking. And I think with Cassie, I think being Puff's, one of his probably the longest relationship that he had, I think that gave feds or the people in charge who probably did some scrupulous things with Puff at a freak off, or Puff had some tape of them, it probably gave them the ammunition to say, yo, grab them, because we don't need our business out there. We don't need that. So you need to grab him and go start looking for the tapes. And remember, they ended up finding the tapes. I believe it was publicized that they actually had the jurors actually kind of like look at, I believe, one of the freak offs and had like headphones on their ears. And coming out of that, I didn't hear a lot of jurors really talking about how bad those freak off tapes were or anything like that. Because again, if that was the case, it would have been publicized on every big news publication across, but that was not the case. So again, I feel that the powers that be were going after Puff because of the Cassie little business of him paying her because she was going to write a tell-all book and all that type of stuff. And they say, nope, we can't risk it. Grab them, get the tapes and all that type of stuff. And again, the prosecution, they put too much dip on their chip with this. When you really take a step back and look at it, they put too much dip on their chip. And I think focusing too much on, again, the sexcapades instead of the actual true crimes that you can actually throw at him and levy against him, I think that kind of really hurt them, especially if you, once again, I can't go against this or say this enough. When you only talk about someone's sexcapades for days after days after days, it makes people so numb. It's kind of the same way how people are now whenever they hear so many people dying from gun shootings. And I hate to make this the most extreme analogy, but I got to. People are starting to become numb to school shootings. It's becoming a thing now where people hear about a school shooting, people are like, oh, okay, word. Dang, that's crazy. Love and light and condolences. And then they go about their business because they know nothing's going to change. Whenever you constantly go about something the way that the prosecution did, because again, it was constantly his freak offs this, freak offs that, and who did he mess with here, and all this type of stuff. You got to mix it up. You got to give the jury something else. You got to talk about that, cool, and then move on to another crime that he did. But when you constantly just mention the sex stuff, it just gives the jurors numb. And I think they tried to move off of it when they had Kid Cudi get on there, and Kid Cudi talked about his one-on-one that he had with Puff after, what was it? After him meeting with Puff, because Puff was jealous of Cudi spending time with Cassie, and Kid Cudi alleged that Puff had his car blow up, but when you look at the photos, you see that his car just got burnt. Like the seats were burnt, his top of his car got ripped open so the Molotov cocktail can go in there and burn the inside of his car like that. Not really blow up, but his car was burning. And I believe that's the thing that they were trying to mix so the jury can see how much of a terrible guy Puff was. And then also, as I said, the video that we saw of him beating up Cassie, and also photos that we saw of Cassie being bruised up on her shoulder and her hip that her friend took at one of the vacation spots that Cassie, Puff, and the friend were on, all that type of stuff. Because I believe like one of her friends came up there on the stand, and I believe she went under, again, a Jane Doe name, talking about Cassie running away from Puff, trying to hide from him after he was having one of his violent fits. And they, again, took photos of her shoulder, hip, bruises on her body. If they just would have focused in more of him being an abuser and, again, having some actual charges of him being an abuser, then I could say they would have probably found him more guilty, because there's no way you can, once again, fight the abuse allegation, because, once again, we see the video. That's abuse 101. But again, we're focusing too much on his sexcapade stuff. I just think that was too much, and I think that the jury wasn't going to really find him guilty of that, because a lot of people have sex and a lot of people have these freaky ideas in their head of what they could do. And imagine if they did have that much money as Sean Combs, if they were able to explore the world and explore different things like Sean Combs was able to do, they probably might be doing that, or certain people might be doing worse. But again, I don't know. Again, that's just my thoughts on it. Sean Combs, Puff, he is supposed to be sentenced somewhere in October. His legal team did try to put him on, or try to suggest $1 million bail for Puff to get out, but the judge kind of nixed that, saying that, I'm just going to paraphrase this, that Puff is a person that could be violent towards the community, or whatever the crap they have it to still put him inside the legal system behind bars. But again, his sentencing is supposed to be in October. Everybody's going to be waiting for that one, because everyone wants to see how long Puff is going to be staying inside the prison. But also, people are going to be wondering if Donald Trump is going to pardon Puff, because that was a talking piece amongst a lot of people during the Puff case, because people know that Puff has partied and took photos with Donald Trump in the past. And since Donald Trump is back in presidency and he has pardoned certain people, will he pardon Sean Combs? That, again, October will be the month where we'll all see how long he's going to get and whether Donald Trump's going to step in or not. I have no idea. If he does, he does. If he don't, he don't. But all in all, Puff's going to be out of there, ladies and gentlemen. Puff is not going to, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be serving that much time. If anything, I see him probably going to be like, if I was to best case scenario this thing out, they're not going to give him the max of 10 for each of those charges. They're not doing that. They'll probably try to half it, so at most he'll probably do 10 years. At most. But even then, I don't see him doing 10 years of that. I really don't. So, all in all, Puff kind of beat the feds. He did. It is what it is on that. I would like to know, and I would, because again, we're in the internet age. People are going to talk about it if it happens to come about. If Puff is going to throw parties anymore, or has he learned and he's going to sit down and say, you know what, I'm not throwing no more parties. I'm not doing any of that because that got me in some trouble. Or will he say, you know what, nah, I'm going to throw parties. I'm still do what I do, but this time I'm going to try to be more careful with the parties that I throw, and with my sexcapades that I have, I'm going to try to be more careful with it. And again, that's all I could say about this right now. And yeah, Sean Combs, he beat his attorney team. They beat the feds. It is what it is on that one, bro. No more needs to be said. And we'll see if he actually is able to make a showing back in the entertainment space. Will he be able to be the Sean Combs that we know that he was before this? Or will he have to be a guy behind the scenes more? Because I still think he's going to be doing business with other companies, but they'll never really like announce him to be the face. I think they'll probably have some paperwork that he'll be in there as a creative director or as a wrangler for some companies of talent. I still think that's going to happen because Puff, again, he can still move around and still get shoulder to shoulder with people and be that people person that, again, Hollywood people have said that Puff is able to be. I still think that's going to happen, but I don't think he'll be that front-facing guy the way that he was before this case. I really don't think so. I still think he's going to work in entertainment, obviously, but I think he's going to be more backstage, behind-the-scenes people when it comes down to business, now more than ever. But yeah, that's my opinions on the whole Puff trial, everything that deals with it. So with that, now let me move off of Puff on to another court case that I feel got handled. Associated Press will talk about Bryan Kohberger. He admits to killing 4 Idaho students, but his motive remains unclear. A criminal justice student who avoided a potential death sentence by pleading guilty Wednesday to the brutal stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students carefully planned the attack for months and took multiple steps to cover his tracks, the lead prosecutor said. Bryan Kohberger, who was a graduate student at a nearby Washington State University, pleaded guilty to murder in the killings that terrified the Idaho campus and set off a nationwide search, which ended weeks later when he was arrested in Pennsylvania. Kohberger remained impassive as he admitted to breaking into a rental home through a kitchen sliding door and killing the 4 friends who appeared to have no connection with him. Prosecutors did not reveal a motive behind the slayings. Now, I remember this happening. I remember me even talking about this, I believe it was 2 years ago when this thing first happened. And I thought, like, I don't know how they're going to get Homeboy because he said he wasn't there. But then they start, again, showing evidence about his cell phone pinging off closer to that location and all of that. And my mind usually goes whenever there's a big situation like this and it got the nation's attention. I'm always wanted to see, okay, when's the trial happening? When's the trial coming about? So we can actually get some information coming out. But they will always pussyfoot on that. They would throw little news articles here, news articles there about this particular case, but they never really said when's the trial going to happen. Well, the trial, surprisingly to me, was supposed to happen next month in August. But they spared his life. They decided to give him a plea deal. He took it. And for me, if I was one of the families, or if I was a person on the prosecution team, I would say, yo, if you take this plea deal, you have to give us a motive for why you did what you did. Why did you kill those 4 students? You got to admit to the court that you did it. And also, you have to give a court the reason why you did what you did. Now, the only person who will ever truly know about why you did what you did is the killer for what they do. But for right now, they said the motive still remains unclear. If I was a family member and I was a prosecutor, I wouldn't be pleased with that at all. Again, the prosecution, they end up making the deal. They end up putting the plea deal out there. So they apparently are cool with not having a motive. But if you mean to tell me one of my loved ones has been killed by this person, and you as a prosecution are cool with him not telling us why they did what they did when they are accepting a plea deal that removes them from the death penalty if this thing happens to go to trial and they get found guilty, I'm not going to be pleased with it at all. I'm not. I need to know the motive. There has to be a motive. You have to tell me something. You gotta tell me something. You can't just remain tight lip on you murking my family. You can't do that. I think that is a thing in life that you shouldn't be able to do. It's one of the basic things ever. Think about it. You get caught stealing from the bank. The big question is why? Why did this person steal from the bank? Obviously, people will be able to come up with the answer saying, well, the person needed the money if they steal from the bank. But okay, that's surface level. But okay, what were you going to do with the money? We need to know individually what were you going to do with said money that you stole from the bank. It's always a reason for why someone does what they does or does what they did. So for this, I just know if it was my family member, I wouldn't be pleased with the prosecution. But hey, who am I, right? I do hope that the families do ultimately get a motive, but time will tell, right? Now, moving off of the court cases, I do have to talk about, as we're going into the Trump era, this goes into this whole immigration of ICE. BBC has wrote up an article saying that boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was arrested by U.S. immigration. They said U.S. immigration agents have arrested famed Mexican boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and plan to deport him to Mexico, where he has an active arrest warrant for his involvement in organized crime, the U.S. officials announced on Thursday. Now, here's the kicker. Less than a week before his arrest, he boxed and was defeated by Jake Paul in California. So he just boxed last week. You guys mean to tell me that you guys knew that you guys were going to pick homeboy up, but you guys said, you know what? Nah, let Jake Paul, let his boxing organization, let them make money off of this fight right here. But once that's done, nab him. Get him. That's insane. That's ludicrous to me. If I was the boxer, if I was Chavez Jr. over here, I'll be pissed. I ain't gonna hold you. I'll be pissed more off the fact that you guys could have got me before I got into this fight. As a matter of fact, you guys could have got me as there was the build up to this fight. Because there's no way you guys didn't know about it. But you guys decided to allow me to train, allow me to do all this stuff, allow me to get in the ring and box. And a week later, you guys decide, you know what, pick him up. Nah, dog, that's insane. That's insane to me, dude. That's just crazy. But, yeah. The Department of Homeland Security said in a statement, under President Trump, no one is above the law, including world famous athletes. You know what? I'm just going to leave that right there for you guys to kind of decipher that one. So yeah. Chavez Jr., he has been arrested and they plan on deporting him back to Mexico. So we'll wait and see if he happens to ever go back. If he is, amen. I'm hoping that he'll be all right. That's what I'm hoping for. Because again, just off the principle alone, if you're going to get him before he actually fights. That's just my whole deal with that. You waited until after he got done fighting a week later. That's BS to me. That's complete BS. But again, it is what it is. Let them do their business there. Off to the next one. Washington Post would write up an article saying 200 Marines sent to Florida to support ICE. U.S. Northern Command says around 200 Marines are headed to Florida to support Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE authorities, U.S. Northern Command said Thursday, noting that it was the first wave of the organization's planned support for ICE operations in several states. Service members from Marine Wing Support Squadron 272 will focus on administrative and logistical tasks and are specifically prohibited from direct contact with individuals in ICE custom or involvement in any aspect of the custody chain, the command said in a statement. The service members who are coming from North Carolina will perform case management duties, provide logistical support like vehicle maintenance, and help process detainees at ICE facilities, such as inputting biographical and detention data into Department of Homeland Security database, according to Becky Farmer, a Northern Command spokeswoman. Okay, so again, we're still on this kick here, trying to just nab people and doing things and put people into databases. Again, man, I don't like it. I don't like it because, again, America's whole tagline is home of the free, all this stuff, land of the what? Home of the brave, land of the free. That type of deal. Come here to make your life better, all that type of stuff. And again, I just don't support ICE, man. I don't support ICE. I don't support people trying to just grab people and get them out of here. I don't like it because, again, I've said it before. When you look at the history of America, I'll say it again. About a 99% of people that's over here on the states, they're not from America, bro. Your heritage isn't from here. So for, again, the people that are in charge right now that decide to say, yep, get them out of here, you gotta think about it. Your people from way back in the day isn't from here, bro. So again, that's just funny to me how we've decided to remix it and just start nixing people out of here. But it is what it is. And to round us out, the last thing that I do want to talk about is the House. The House has passed Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. He would sign it into law on July 4th. That is funny than a mug when you really start to think about it. But yeah, Trump's big, beautiful bill has passed. They say the bill is particularly paid for by significant cuts to the healthcare and nutrition programs like Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill would add $3.4 trillion federal deficits over the next 10 years and leave millions without health insurance. They said the Republicans and the White House dispute those forecasts. All right. It is what it is. It is what it is, man. There's no more you can do. There's nothing that no one can do right now. The only thing you can do is literally just try to live and survive. I've said it before. I've said it again, over and over again. People have to live and survive now more than ever. I think people are starting to see things are going to change, and things are going to change in a way that not a lot of people are going to like. Now, certain things could be blown out of the water in this big, beautiful bill, because I do remember seeing one of the reporters trying to ask Trump about the Medicaid. It was estimated that I think 11.8 million people are going to be losing health insurance under Medicaid over the next decade. Trump says it's not going to be that many people. He does say it's still going to be some people, but it's not going to be that many people. But I don't know, bro. I really don't. That's above my pay grade. And I think that's above a lot of people's pay grade. It just got a lot of people afraid. So the best thing I can say for everyone right now is to constantly look into what you have. If you have Medicaid, look into it week by week, month by month, to make sure you still have it. And once you see that you don't have it, immediately see what's going down. Or before that happens, look and see what they're going to try to do. What are the new requirements for people to be under Medicaid? What is the requirements, and see if you meet those requirements. Okay, that's what I will say for that. Any other program that they're trying to strip away from the American people, if you have it, once again, constantly check on it to make sure you have it week by week, month by month, because again, things happen off of a snap of a finger, because one day you could be on it, next day you could be off of it, or 1 week could be on it, next week off, next month on. You get my drift. Just constantly make sure of your business when it comes down to these programs that this bill is trying to take away from people, or try to put restrictions on people. Because again, I don't want people to lose out on things that they already have that help benefit their life, because that would suck so bad. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, please keep yourself update with things. Please make sure you know what you have and what you don't have, and always seek out information when you need something, because information is key. And when you have that information and when you have that knowledge, you're able to work it, or you're able to bend it to make it work for you. So that's all I really have to say about Trump's big, beautiful bill. And I believe that's everything that I do have to say for today's episode. If you guys just want to watch a movie that you could just throw on in the background, I would say go and put on John Cena and Idris Elba's newest movie, Heads of State. It's a nice little buddy comedy action movie. And again, I've said this before. I'm not certain if I said this on this podcast or I've said this in like my conversations I've had with people. But Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid's kid, he is in a lot of movies, and I'm not certain if they want to make him like the guy to just put him in different movies because he has that face that's a real punchable face or what it is, but I've seen him in a lot of things recently. So congrats to Dennis Quaid's kid, Jack Quaid, for constantly being in things. And yeah, this is just, again, one of those movies that you could just put on as a buddy, little action comedy movie that you could just throw on and just sit there and just have yourself a time. And also, if you didn't see Sinners in the movie theaters, HBO Max has it on their streaming system now, so you can go and watch that. And that's a movie that I would say, I think that's another one you will enjoy just spending your time just watching it. I don't think there's nothing else that I want to say. Oh yeah, and I'm watching The Bear season 4. I've seen some people's reviews about it. I'm cool on The Bear right now. It's not bad to me. It's just one of those series that if you have family issues or trauma or something like that, it's one of those things you can watch and you kind of look at and just pinpoint certain things and apply it to yourself and see that you got to make some adjustments and changes to yourself and all of that. That's how I see The Bear. But again, that's another series I am enjoying on Hulu right now as well. I think that's everything that I do want to discuss. So with that stated, it is now time for me to get you guys out of here. I would like to thank all the podcasting sites that have me on here, whether it be Amazon, Apple, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart, all the other podcasting sites, because without them, I wouldn't be able to get this podcast out to you guys, the downloaders and listeners. So I would like to thank them, but I'd also like to thank you guys, the downloaders and listeners, whether you're in America or you're across the water internationally. I would like to thank every single one of you guys for tuning into the podcast and just listening to me talk about the news and give my opinions on these topics, because again, we're all just trying to live our days every single day, and sometimes people don't pay attention to the news, and I'm appreciative just for you guys to tune into this particular podcast and listen to me talk about the news and just give it to you. I do appreciate that, whether you be in your car, in the gym, at home, playing in the background. I am thankful just to know that people listen to the podcast. I am appreciative of that. So with that being stated, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
I do love you all. That is not a gimmick. I really do appreciate and love every single one of you guys, again, that take the time out to just listen to me talk about any and everything. And again, let me just run down my upcoming week's schedule. Wednesday, you get another midweek breakdown episode. Thursday, if you like professional wrestling, you'll hear from me talk about professional wrestling and just give my thoughts on different things of what I think about certain things. Saturday, you'll get a wrestling highlights of the week episode out of me, but that week will be more primarily on predictions for next weekend's big wrestling madness of just companies putting out events all next weekend. I'm gonna be a busy guy watching wrestling next weekend. So again, next Saturday, Wrestling Highlights of the Week episode will be more focused on predictions for those upcoming shows there. Next Sunday, you'll get another Sunday episode of the My Two Cents podcast, where I'll talk about news and big news topics that happened this past week, and I'll give my thoughts and opinions on that. And also that following Monday, you'll get a Wrestling Madness episode out of me, which I will recap all of the wrestling shows that happened this upcoming weekend. So that's my schedule for the following week to come. So now that that's been said, I want you guys to have a great weekend, or have a great end of your weekend, and have a great week. You'll hear from me again soon. This has been the My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. He is I and I am him. This is a goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. And also, ladies and gentlemen, do not be a dick to each other. Try to be courteous. Try to be as nice as you can, because you have no idea what someone is dealing with. So please try to be on your best behavior. We all know how to be nice to one another. Please do that. That is what I'm asking of every single one of you, okay? Please. So, once again, please be nice. Don't be a dick. Be courteous. And if you also don't want to talk to someone, just, again, give them a little small talk and then just go about your business. Or just say, hey, hello, how are you? And then move about your business, okay? You ain't got to be a dick and not talk to them if they say hello to you. You can still just give them a little hello back, alright? So, with that being said, this has been, once again, My 2 Cents Podcast, hosted by G2. He is I and I him. I love you all. Be blessed, everyone. And Kanye, could you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.